Here, survival is a breath away from death. One mistake, and the hunt begins. A predator draws silently near. Only the swiftest will earn the right to live. Here, the law comes not from man, it comes from the river, and the river is dying. The Luangwa River, the lifeblood of over 3,500 square miles of wilderness, is now just a chain of pools linked by dried mud. Every creature in this valley knows, he who controls the water survives, and none knows this better than those at the top of the food chain. A pride of lions moves through the scorched grass, silent, purposeful, and hungry. Their paws press into the red dust like quiet emblems of desperation. The lead lioness lifts her head to the wind. Ahead, nearly 3 miles away, lies the last waterhole the pride knows of. The dry season in Luangwa does not arrive gently. It comes like a sentence declared by cloudless skies and a fractured earth. For lions, the dry season presents a grim paradox. Prey is scarcer, yet more predictable. As the tributaries run dry, every herbivore is drawn to the river's edge, and the lionesses know exactly where they will appear. In the blistering midday sun, 4 lionesses form a silent, encircling arc. Their target, a group of impala drinking at a shallow bend in the river. Impala antelopes that can leap over 30 feet in length and 10 feet high are the lion's most common prey in the dry season, but they are not easily taken. Lions prefer to hunt in darkness, but the dry season forces them to act by day when prey is concentrated by the water, with nowhere left to hide. The pride's tactic is a choreography of precision. 1 lioness to flush, 2 to block the escape routes, and a 4th to deliver the final blow. But even with a perfect strategy, the success rate is only around 25 to 30%. 3 out of every 4 hunts end in failure. In less than 3 seconds, the space between life and death is erased. The impala falls. The lioness is quickly surrounded, but do not yet eat. The panting breaths of the victors and the gasps of the vanquished dissolve into the Luangwa heat as if they never were. They wait. The law of the pride is clear. The males eat first, even if they did not join the hunt. It is the price of their protection. Luangwa's dry season turns every meal into a calculation of survival and every sip of water into a gamble. But this is no ordinary place. This is one of Africa's most extraordinary ecosystems, with a history far older than our own species. South Luangwa, a game reserve since 1938 and a national park since 1972, lies in eastern Zambia, near the borders of Malawi and Mozambique. But its conservation story began much earlier, in 1904. The Muchinga escarpment towers to the west, walling the valley off from the high plateau. The river has meandered for millions of years, leaving behind oxbow lagoons now oases of life as the dry season deepens. Over 60 large mammal species and 450 species of birds call this place home. But there is one painful absence. Not a single rhinoceros remains wiped out by poaching. If a disease were to sweep through, an entire species could vanish from the earth forever. And as the water recedes, the first to feel the crisis are not the smallest creatures, but the largest. A herd of African elephants moves along the dry riverbed. Red dust rises with each heavy footfall, coating their wrinkled grey hides. The matriarch, the old grandmother, leads with the certainty of one who has survived dozens of dry seasons. In elephant society, she is living memory. She has no GPS, no map, yet she remembers. Every path, every waterhole, every well site passed down from 3 generations before her. A bull elephant can weigh up to 14,000 pounds with a shoulder height exceeding 13 feet. Their enormous ears are not just for hearing. They are natural radiators, a dense network of blood vessels that helps cool the body as the ground shimmers with heat. The trunk, with over 40,000 individual muscle units, can uproot a tree, yet is delicate enough to pick up a single seed. Their tusks, in reality, elongated incisor teeth, are tools for digging, weapons for defense, and the very things that have made them a target for centuries. But in the dry season, the elephant's most remarkable skill is not its strength, it is its engineering. When the riverbed is bone dry, the elephants do not wait, they dig. Using their trunks and front feet, they excavate the damp sand, sometimes over 3 feet deep, until groundwater begins to seep up. An adult elephant can dig a well in under 20 minutes faster than any team of engineers. These elephant-made wells become a lifeline for more than 20 other species, from antelope to small birds, from baboons to monitor lizards. In ecology, elephants are known as keystone engineers, a species that modifies its habitat in a way that benefits countless others, at no cost to them. They communicate in infrasound frequencies, so low the human ear cannot detect them, which travel up to 6 miles through the ground, carrying information about water, danger, and loss. The herd marches through the Mopane woodland, trailing a mobile ecosystem. Their dung disperses the seeds of dozens of plant species, reforesting the very paths they walk. But the matriarch knows nothing of statistics. She knows only that this year there is less water than any year before, and she must find more for her family. As the herd stops to dig, the matriarch stands guard. Occasionally, she touches her trunk to a white bone lying in the dry riverbed, the remains of another elephant. Researchers have called this a form of grieving. Elephants will stop, touch, and smell, sometimes standing in silence for minutes over the remains of their own kind, as if in remembrance. No one knows what they are thinking in these moments, but the silence speaks volumes. Perhaps the truth is simpler. When a creature with a mind as vast as an elephant's confronts death, it feels what we can only call loss. As the afternoon sun slants across the Muchinga range, another shape emerges from the woodland. This one needs no herd, no well, no one. South Luangwa has a nickname known to every wildlife photographer, the Valley of the Leopard. The density of leopards here is among the highest in Africa, and the dry season, when the vegetation thins, is the best time to see them. Weighing between 65 and 200 pounds depending on sex, the leopard is the perfect solitary predator, far smaller than a lion, but more versatile than any other big cat. Its night vision is 7 times better than ours, turning every shadow in the forest into its private domain. The coat of rosettes is not merely for beauty. Against the sun-dappled leaf litter of the mopane forest, the leopard becomes almost invisible. When a kill is made, a leopard does not dine on the ground. It hauls the carcass, sometimes twice its own body weight, up a mopane tree to keep it from scavenging hyenas and lions. The strength required is equivalent to a human lifting a 400-pound weight into a tree, and the leopard does this as a matter of routine. While the lion pride must share every scrap, the leopard provides only for itself. It is the privilege of the solitary hunter. But as the water sources shrink, the lone hunter and the great prides will be forced to share the same riverbank, and the lines between them will blur dangerously. For at the edge of the Luangwa, there are residents who came first, before the lions, before the leopards, and long before humankind. Sunrise in Luangwa brings no relief. It brings heat, and heat drives every creature towards the water. This is where the conflict begins. On the west bank of the Luangwa, a herd of African buffalo appears 100 strong, coated in red dust, moving like a tired but resolute army. A fully grown bull can weigh up to 2,100 pounds and stand 5.5 feet at the shoulder, a living wall of muscle on 4 legs. Atop its head, the fused base of the horns known as the boss is so hard it can withstand a direct impact from another bull without fracturing. But the most extraordinary thing about the buffalo is not its brawn. It is a form of democracy, older than any of our own. In 1996, researcher Herbert Prinz discovered that when a herd chooses its direction of travel, the adult females stand, turn to face their preferred direction, and the majority vote decides the day's route. A voting system in a one-ton herbivore. Today, the herd votes to head east towards the river, not because they want to, but because there is no other choice. The herd must cross a stretch of river, where water remains where the mud is chest deep, and the surface is deceptively calm. Because beneath that still water, something is waiting, and it has been waiting for a very long time. But before the encounter in the water, the herd must face the threat on land, the lions. The lionesses have arrived, first lying in ambush on the far bank, exactly where the buffalo will emerge after crossing the river. As hundreds of buffalo enter the water, the lions lie still in the dry grass. They know that in the mud, buffalo are slower, and the young calves always lag behind. But the buffalo are not naive. When they catch the scent of lion on the wind, the lead bulls trigger a defensive reflex honed over millions of years. They form ranks, bosses facing out, calves in the center. Every movement is carried out in absolute silence. Buffalo are one of the few herbivores that will actively turn and attack lions, and it is not uncommon for them to win. The standoff lasts until the sun is at its highest. Neither side will back down, but the dry season will bring them both back to this very bank, this afternoon, tomorrow, and the day after. This is the nature of the Luangwa dry season. There are no victories, only temporary truces between rounds of conflict. A few hundred yards downstream, another world exists, more simmering, but no less violent. The oxbow lagoons shrink with each passing day, and the creature that rules them is not placid in the face of this change. An adult male hippopotamus can weigh up to 4,000 pounds and measure 13 feet long, a near hairless mass of muscle. Its thick skin is covered in a pink secretion that was once mistaken for bloody sweat. It is, in fact, a natural sunscreen and antibiotic synthesized by the hippo's own body, an invention perfected over 400 million years of evolution. Do not be deceived by their bulk. On land, a hippo can reach speeds of 30 miles per hour, faster than any human sprinter. In the rainy season, each hippo has ample space. In an El Niño dry season, the lagoons shrink to the size of a bathtub, and dozens are forced into the same hot, muddy pool. Territorial conflicts erupt. The dominant male opens its jaws, its thick lips stretching over 2 feet, in a threat known as the yawning display. If the display is not enough, its tusk-like canine teeth, over a foot long, will settle the dispute. After an 8-month gestation, a calf is born weighing 50 to 100 pounds, and a hippo mother will defend her young with a ferocity that even lions avoid. The hippopotamus is the closest living terrestrial relative of whales and dolphins, a truth proven by DNA analysis, though the eye would never guess it. The International Union for Conservation of Nature lists the hippo as vulnerable. Every harsh, dry season like this one pushes them closer to the edge. Underwater, hippos communicate by vocalizing through their larynx, creating sounds that travel 4 times faster than in air, echoing through the lagoon like a secret network. It is a resident that even the most ancient of reptiles must think twice before provoking. And speaking of ancient reptiles, the true ruler of the Luangwa's waters is lying just beneath the surface, less than 30 feet away. The Nile crocodile, Africa's largest reptile, lies motionless on a sandbank, with only its eyes and nostrils breaking the murky water. Growing up to 20 feet long and weighing over 1,500 pounds, they are the embodiment of patience, perfected over hundreds of millions of years. The bite force of a Nile crocodile, is among the most powerful ever recorded for any animal strong enough to crush a buffalo's femur in a single snap. And the dry season is their golden age. The water recedes, the river channel narrows, and all prey is forced to come closer. The crocodile does not need to hunt. It only needs to wait. And on this planet, no creature is better at waiting. As an antelope lowers its head to drink, the surface explodes 20 feet of armored muscle, launching upwards in less than a second. The jaws clamp. It performs its death roll and drags the prey to the bottom. This technique has not changed in 200 million years because it has not needed to. But Nile crocodiles are not just killing machines. They are also surprisingly dedicated parents. A female lays 25 to 80 eggs, buried deep in the warm sand of the riverbank. The temperature of the nest determines the sex of the hatchlings. Around 89 degrees Fahrenheit produces males, while higher or lower temperatures produce females. When the eggs hatch, the mother crocodile gently scoops up her young in her jaws, the same jaws with the most powerful bite in Africa, and carries them to the water. Both parents will guard their young for the first few weeks, a protective behavior few would associate with a cold-blooded reptile. But beneath the armor, there is a parental instinct. The dry season turns the riverbank into a stage where buffalo, hippo, and crocodile are forced to share a shrinking space, with lions watching from the wings. When the oxbows shrink so much that hippo and crocodile touch, when the buffalo have no path of retreat, all territorial rules are erased, and primal instinct takes over. But in Luangwa, the most dangerous animal is not always the largest. It is the one that cooperates. And as the afternoon sun blazes across the valley, two armies, one of numbers, one of speed, are preparing for a confrontation that only the dry season can create. An unearthly, whooping call echoes from the east bank, not a sound of joy, but the rallying cry of Africa's most misunderstood predator. The spotted hyena, made a fool by Hollywood, but in reality, one of the most formidable hunters on the Growing to nearly 6 feet, including the tail, and weighing up to 180 pounds, the spotted hyena is much larger than cartoons portray. Its jaws can generate a bite force of over 1,000 pounds per square inch, among the strongest of any mammal predator, enough to splinter a giraffe's leg bone. And its reputation as a scavenger, a slander that has lasted for centuries. Modern research shows that around 60% of a spotted hyena's diet comes from its own kills, not from scavenging leftovers. They hunt in groups of 3 to 15, using a pincer movement and maintaining speeds of 35 miles per hour in extended chases. Spotted hyena society is one of the animal kingdom's great surprises, a strict matriarchy. Females dominate males in every respect, from feeding rights to breeding rights. In the dry season, spotted hyenas play a vital, underappreciated role. They are the ecosystem's sanitation crew. They consume bone, hide, and organs, parts that no other predator will touch. Without them, carcasses would accumulate, and disease would spread rapidly in the heat. Right now, the hyenas are not looking for old carcasses. They have caught the scent of fresh blood from the lion pride's unfinished meal. The hyena clan advances on the buffalo kill in the searing heat. The lions issue a warning growl. It is a contest of numbers versus raw power. The hyenas circle, test, retreat, and advance again. Each time, the distance between them shrinks. In the Luangwa ecosystem, the clash between hyena and lion is not a rare event. It is a constant rhythm, especially when the dry season forces them to the same limited food sources. Sometimes the lions keep their prize. Sometimes the mob rules. And sometimes both lose when another pack emerges from the riverine forest. This ancient conflict is not just about food. It is about control. Who gets to eat, who must wait, and who must walk away. But in Luangwa, there is a third army, smaller, rarer, but so efficient that both lion and hyena must pay it respect. The African wild dog, the only surviving member of the genus Lycaon, materializes at the edge of the Mopane woodland like mottled ghosts. The pack number's only 12, but those 12 hunt with a success rate of up to 80%, compared to the 25 to 30% of lions. Each individual has a unique, painted coat. No two are alike nature's own fingerprint. They can sustain 37 miles per hour on chases that last for miles, running their prey to exhaustion rather than overpowering it. The pack's structure revolves around a single breeding pair, the alpha male and alpha female. The entire pack helps raise their pups. And when the pack needs to decide whether to hunt, they don't growl or fight, they sneeze. In 2017, a study published in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B confirmed that wild dogs use sneezes as a form of voting. Once a quorum of sneezes is reached, the pack moves out. If an alpha sneezes first, fewer votes are needed. If a subordinate initiates, more sneezes are required to reach a consensus. A weighted democracy in an animal that weighs less than 65 pounds. But democracy has not saved them from the brink of extinction. The International Union for Conservation of Nature lists the African wild dog as endangered. Only about 6,600 adults remain, scattered across 39 fragmented populations. Many are too small to be viable. Canine distemper, rabies, poachers' snares, habitat loss. Their list of enemies is longer than their list of prey. In Luangwa, the El Niño dry season forces them into lion territory, where every encounter could cost them a member the pack cannot afford to lose. But in wild dog society, there is an unwritten rule that no other large predator follows. After a successful hunt, the pack returns to the den first and regurgitates food for the pups, for the old, and for the injured who could not join the hunt. In the wild dog pack, no one is left behind, not even the weakest. It is the privilege and the burden of a species that knows communal care. As the evening light fades, the pack melts back into the Miombo woodland as quickly as they appeared. And with the first light of a new day, another sound rises, not a roar, not a cackle, not a sneeze. It is a cry high-pitched, ringing and echoing across the water from the bird Zambians consider the very soul of the river. The African fish eagle, the national bird of Zambia, and also of Zimbabwe and South Sudan, perches on a dead tree rising from the dry riverbed. With a wingspan of up to 8 feet, and feet with specially roughened pads and curved talons to grip slippery fish, the fish eagle is the perfect aerial hunter. They mate for life. Their nests, which can be over 6 feet across, are reused year after year, with new branches added each season like pages in a diary. Each clutch contains 1 to 3 eggs, but the fish eagle's most important role is not procreation. It is to be a biological indicator. When the call of the fish eagle rings out over the Luangwa, it is a sign that the river is still breathing, that the water is clean enough, the fish are plentiful enough, that the aquatic ecosystem has not yet collapsed. When the fish eagle falls silent, that is the time to fear. And in this El Niño dry season, its calls are becoming scarcer. Where a stretch of river has dried up completely, the eagle has gone. Where it remains, there is still hope. At the base of the eagle's perch, a troop of chacma baboons forages on the hot ground, not picky, not complaining, not giving up. Baboons are southern Africa's largest primate. A male can weigh up to 90 pounds, measure over 4 feet long, and possesses canine teeth nearly 2 inches in length that can make a leopard think twice. A troop can number from 20 to 80 individuals, and they are true omnivores, eating everything from seeds, fruits, and insects, to birds' eggs, and even scorpions. They are a living encyclopedia of wild foods, and in the dry season, that knowledge is a decisive advantage. Their communication system is astonishingly complex. Over 60 gestures and 36 different vocalizations, one of the richest vocabularies in the non-human primate world. When the dry season takes away their usual food sources, baboons do not panic. They adapt, digging for roots, catching insects, finding larvae under bark, with a flexibility no specialist can match. When they rest, they climb to a height of about 25 feet, well out of reach of leopards and hyenas below. A simple habit, but one that saves the troop. They are the last to leave when the dry season is at its worst. and the first to return when the first raindrop falls. Proof that in Luangwa, life always finds a way, no matter how difficult the path. And perhaps that is the greatest lesson Luangwa teaches anyone who comes here. Survival belongs not to the strongest, but to the most adaptable. But life needs its guardians, and in South Luangwa, the fight for conservation is not an abstract concept. It happens every day, on the ground, in the red dust and searing sun. The Zambian carnivore program tracks wild dog packs and hyena clans with GPS, providing real-time data to anti-poaching patrols. The legacy of Norman Carr lives on. 70 years after he opened the first walking safari camp, his philosophy of community-based conservation remains the foundation of all efforts in Luangwa. Carr once said that to save wildlife, you must first uplift the people who live alongside it. In Luangwa, his words are as true today as they were then. Because conservation in Africa cannot succeed if it is divorced from the people who share the land. Every ranger who patrols all day in the sun, every vet who removes a snare from a struggling animal, every family that chooses not to poach despite their hunger, they are all part of the answer. And the question, the one the Luangwa River posed at the beginning, still echoes. When the river becomes the only lifeline, who survives, and at what cost? The lion pays with its territory. The elephant pays with its memory. The leopard pays with its solitude. The buffalo pays with its young. The hippo pays with its space. The crocodile pays nothing, for its dues were paid 200 million years ago. The hyena pays with a stolen reputation. The wild dog pays with the very existence of its species. But the rains will return. They always do. When the first clouds gather over the Muchinga escarpment, when the first drop of water hits the red earth, when the Luangwa River stirs from its sandy bed, every creature in this valley will look up. Not out of gratitude, but because they are programmed for hope, for their ancestors survived 1 million dry seasons before this one. The Luangwa River belongs to no one. It belongs to every creature that dared to stay when everything seemed to say, leave. And tomorrow, as the sun rises again over the valley, the struggle for survival will continue, as it has for 300 million years. Because in Luangwa, nothing ever ends. Everything simply begins again. The tropical sun awakens the vast grassland. After the rains, a velvet green carpet stretches to the horizon, breathing with the vibrant pulse of life. Herds of herbivores graze peacefully, immersed in the abundance. But in the brilliant light of day, every silence conceals a hungry eye. It illuminates every blade of grass, a reminder that death is always waiting for a moment of distraction. Life is a relentless, unforgiving gamble. The weak quickly become a memory. But nowhere is the power and cruelty of life more clearly defined than the African savannah, the domain of the lion. The lion is the undisputed emperor, one that has no need to conceal its power. The rich, green grasslands now become the perfect camouflage, sheltering these apex predators. A chase erupts in a flash, under the open sky. The hungry pride of lions is not just a predator, it is a coordinated force, moving with the cold precision of seasoned warriors. They are nature's brutal coalition, where the strength of one is magnified into the absolute dominance of many. The victim falls under overwhelming weight. The lion's method of killing is a statement, a slow suffocation, an overpowering by mass and number. A gradual death unfolds in the glaring light, the opening act in the unforgiving laws of survival on our planet. But power on the African plains is never an absolute monarchy. Even the proudest kings must face fierce resistance from forces that will not submit. In the brilliant light of day, as the earth begins to radiate a heat that blurs the horizon, a series of eerie, challenging calls rings out. It is the rallying cry of the spotted hyena, the lion's ancient enemy and its most worthy rival for the throne. For too long, they have been unfairly cast as cowardly scavengers, trailing in the footsteps of other predators. But the sun, which reveals all truths, exposes their true nature. They are among the most brutal, intelligent, and efficient hunters on the continent. Their bodies are built for relentless, life-or-death pursuits, designed to exhaust their prey's last ounce of strength under a blistering sun. Unlike the lion, whose bulk demands short bursts of speed, the spotted hyena possesses astonishing stamina, allowing it to maintain a high-speed chase for many miles. And when they close in on their target, the punishment they deliver is inescapable. The spotted hyena possesses one of the most powerful bites in the entire terrestrial animal kingdom. Their formidable jaws not only tear through the toughest hide, but can also effortlessly crush the largest, hardest bones. This immense mechanical power makes them a perfect consuming machine, leaving not a single scrap behind on the battlefield of survival. A large, cohesive clan of spotted hyenas will never hesitate to confront a pride of lions for control of a bloody feast. Fierce, drawn-out clashes between these two powers frequently erupt in broad daylight, turning the tranquil grassland into an unforgiving arena of violence. Here, there is no room for mercy or weakness. Only the stronger jaw and the greater number will earn the right to quiet a screaming stomach. But life on the harsh savannah is not confined to the dusty earth. The vast, glaring sky above is also ruled by magnificent predators, masters of the freedom of flight. Soaring on the hot thermals rising from the ground, the African fish eagle stretches its great wings, an arrow tearing through the sky. Its distinctive, piercing cry echoes across the immense space, a sound of defiant freedom, but also a death sentence from above. With eyes so keen they can see through the sun's glittering reflection on the water, no movement can escape its flawless gaze. Once an unlucky target is locked, the eagle instantly folds its wings, plunging towards the lake with the terrifying speed of a falling stone. The still water erupts as its talons, sharp as steel hooks, pierce through tough scales. It is a magnificent strike, precise to the millimeter, ending the prey's life before it even registers the arrival of death. The eagle beats its powerful wings, carrying its prize into the deep blue sky, leaving behind only the silent, ever-widening ripples. Around these precious, glittering oases, the abundance of the vibrant rainy season has drawn the true giants of the continent. Huge, hulking silhouettes appear on the distant horizon, their steps deliberate and slow, yet carrying an unmatched majesty. These are the herds of African elephants, the ultimate symbols of unshakable power on this vast grassland. Under a sun so fierce it can bake the earth and overwhelm most creatures, the elephant herds march on patiently. With their characteristically wrinkled skin, they constantly flap their enormous ears, natural cooling fans, to combat the sun's brutal heat. They are not merely survivors, they are the great architects of the landscape, using their immense physical strength to topple trees and forge new paths for life. An elephant herd survival is not built on bloody conflict or terrifying speed, but on profound wisdom and a deeply moving family bond. Each herd is led by a resilient matriarch who carries a vast memory and decades of survival experience. The matriarch's perfect memory is an invaluable map of life and death, guiding her extended family across the driest lands to find sources of water that have not yet vanished. Within that great family, every member protects the others with an absolute loyalty, a sacred bond rarely seen in the wild world. The small calves are carefully encircled, shielded in the colossal shadows of their elders from the sun's relentless burn. The true strength of the African elephant is the power of boundless unity, a quiet, unshakable authority that no predator would be foolish enough to challenge. Though always intertwined with harshness and brutality, the sun-drenched savannah finds its own way to maintain a delicate ecological balance. From the proud kings of the grassland and the tenacious phantoms of the hyena clans to the gentle giants, every creature is an irreplaceable link in an endless cycle. But this sun-scorched African landscape is just one small part of the grand portrait that Mother Nature has painstakingly painted on the surface of our planet. Our perspective now climbs high, leaving the rustling grasslands far below, soaring through immense, fluffy white clouds. We leave behind the oppressive heat and the dryness of the mother continent, carried on the powerful trade winds that stretch across the globe. Below the clouds lies the vast, deep blue ocean, the great natural boundary that separates worlds of survival, each with entirely different characteristics. Across thousands of miles of stormy seas, a new horizon gradually appears, radiant with an endless emerald green that stretches to the edge of sight. Gone are the open, sun-drenched spaces. The landscape below is now consumed by the density of billions of lives, intricately woven together. We are descending into a completely new battlefield for survival, where biodiversity reaches its most magnificent and complex peak on Earth. The Amazon, where life and death are intertwined, is a testament to the endurance of species over millions of years. A colossal green ribbon, humid and mysterious, stretches majestically along the equator, holding within it countless secrets never exposed to the sun. In this dense jungle, all the familiar laws of the grassland are completely shattered and overturned. A new definition of power, authority, and survival will be established from the ground up, harsher, more raw, and altogether more wondrous. The Amazon rainforest, with its wild and majestic beauty, spans 9 South American countries, but its heart lies in Brazil, home to roughly 60% of the rainforest. Viewed from above, in the brilliant sunlight, it is a giant green tapestry, pulsing with life and harmony, woven from some 390 billion trees of 16,000 different species. Unlike the open grasslands of Africa, where everything is exposed, this is a dense labyrinth of layered canopies, shielding the ground from the glaring sun. This complex, unforgiving, and treacherous land has become the dominion of the ultimate predators. In the green labyrinth, illuminated by shafts of sunlight piercing the canopy, another king reigns in silence. The jaguar, Panthera onca, is the largest cat in the Americas and the apex predator of the Amazon rainforest. If the lion is the emperor of the open plains, ruling by the overwhelming power of the pride, the jaguar is a solitary phantom, commanding its world in absolute solitude. The way these two rulers deliver death is also a study in contrasts. The lion kills by suffocation. The jaguar does not. With the most powerful bite in the Americas, it has no interest in the throat. In the clear light of day, when an ambush is sprung, it reveals a raw and chilling power. It bites through the skull directly into the brain. A brutal lobotomy, delivered by nature. This terrifying hunting technique is not merely a display of strength. It is a perfect adaptation to the Amazonian environment. Much of the prey here, such as caimans or turtles, is protected by thick hide or hard shells. While other predators struggle with this armor, the jaguar goes straight to the point, attacking the weakly protected central processor. A brutal, yet ruthlessly efficient solution. Even in the sunlight that illuminates every corner, the fatal bite is so swift, the prey has no time to register its own end. Leaving the blood-stained ruler to its meal on the forest floor, we look up to a completely different kingdom suspended in mid-air. At a height of 100 to 165 feet above the ground, where direct sunlight penetrates the giant canopy, the Amazon's upper level is a vibrant and unique world. Here, the heat of the day does nothing to slow the hurried pulse of survival. As the brilliant morning sun touches the highest branches, wild sounds begin to tear through the silence, awakening the entire forest. They are the calls of howler monkeys. In the harsh sunlight, their roars can travel for nearly 3 miles, helping troop members stay in contact. They use this incredible volume as an invisible weapon to display their strength and declare their territory to intruders in broad daylight. In the higher canopy, where the kingdom of light reigns supreme, the spider monkey is a master of survival in the upper tiers of the forest. These monkeys almost never touch the ground. Their bodies are perfectly designed for an arboreal life, with long arms and a flexible tail that functions as a 5th limb. Their tail, which can be nearly 3 feet long, is strong enough to grip a branch and even support their entire body weight. The way they swing through the sunlit gaps seems like a beautiful acrobatic display, defying all the laws of gravity. Amid the endless green of countless leaves, a flash of brilliant color streaks across the sun-filled sky. The toucan, a vibrant symbol of the Amazon rainforest, is distinguished by its large, colorful bill. In the scorching heat of the equatorial sun, this bill is not just a tool for feeding, but also a biological marvel. Made of keratin with hollow air pockets inside, the toucan's bill is as light as a feather. And most importantly, it functions as a natural radiator, helping to regulate body temperature in the hot, humid climate. However, not every creature in the canopy chooses to advertise its presence in the sunlight. One of the most unique residents of the canopy is the sloth, a mammal that spends about 90% of its life hanging from tree branches. The sloth's slowness is due to its specialized diet, which consists mainly of leaves, a low-nutrient food source. In the daylight that exposes all secrets, this slowness is in fact a masterful form of camouflage. Moving so slowly makes them nearly invisible to predators that rely on movement, like the harpy eagle. But this suspended, slow-motion life of camouflage holds a grim and dramatic secret. Once a week, the sloth will risk its life to descend to the ground to relieve itself. In the middle of the day, leaving the safety of the high canopy to defecate is, for the sloth, a game of death. Why wager its life in such a way? To repay the tree. Its waste fertilizes the tree, and the tree, in turn, feeds it. A dangerous, but fair, contract. This fleeting exchange of life for an ecological duty is the clearest proof of the jungle's unforgiving rules. And even when the sky is bright, death can still descend from above. In the high canopy of the Amazon, the great horned owl nests silently on the upper branches. Deprived of the advantage of darkness, it has learned to survive and hunt in the bright sunlight that filters through the leaves. Its ability to fly in absolute silence is one of the key factors that makes it such a formidable predator. Its unique feather structure helps to break up the air and minimize noise during flight. A great shadow descends without a sound in the middle of the day, sinking its sharp talons into an unlucky victim before the sun can even register the moment of death. The sunlit canopy of the Amazon reveals a complex aerial society where splendid beauty and silent death coexist. But what happens up high is only the surface of this immense picture. Below the kingdom of the canopy, hidden in the flow of the silvery rivers that reflect the sky, a completely different nightmare waits patiently in ambush. The Amazon River, at some 4,000 miles long, is the largest river in the world by volume of water. The river is like a winding silver ribbon, carrying water and nutrients that sustain every corner of the forest. The majestic ecosystem of the Amazon River is divided into two main types of water: black water and white water. White water, flowing from the Andes, carries nutrient-rich sediment, creating an ideal environment for fish and invertebrates. Black water, on the other hand, with its high acidity and low sediment, presents a challenging environment, but one suited to the species that have evolved to thrive there. Despite these harsh conditions, the Amazon River is home to over 2,200 species of fish, accounting for about 15% of the world's freshwater fish species. Under the bright sun, reflecting off the glittering water, a submerged world of peril churns. Beneath the surface, ancient nightmares lie in patient ambush. The jaguar, the supreme king of the Amazon, not only dominates the land but also displays its absolute power beneath the sunlit river surface. Its ability to hunt in water is a testament to its special adaptation to the riverine and swamp environments. Unlike many other big cats that swim only when necessary, the jaguar is a master swimmer and loves the water. In the daylight that shines straight down to the clear riverbed, it silently patrols its aquatic kingdom. The jaguar's underwater ambushes are often even more successful than its hunts on land, with a success rate of around 60%. But the jaguar is not the only killing machine lurking beneath these shimmering ripples. The greatest threat to creatures living in the Amazon River is the black caiman. This is the largest crocodilian in South America, capable of growing up to 20 feet long and weighing over 1,100 pounds. In the searing heat of the tropical sun, the caiman's black skin not only provides perfect camouflage in the dark water, but also absorbs heat. It floats languidly, like a harmless rotten log, so still that it deceives the senses of thirsty prey. A master of ambush, the black caiman often lies motionless in the water, waiting for its prey to come close enough for a surprise attack. And when that fatal distance is breached, the calm surface of the water explodes. With a crushing bite force of nearly 3,700 pounds per square inch, they can easily subdue large prey. Even the reign of the giant freshwater fish is constantly threatened in this fierce food web. The arapaima is a colossal freshwater fish that inhabits the Amazon River system. Reaching lengths of 10 feet and weighing over 440 pounds, it is one of the largest freshwater fish in the world. What is special about the arapaima is its ability to breathe air, thanks to a modified swim bladder, which allows it to survive in waters with low oxygen levels. Occasionally, these giants surface to gulp air, sending glittering spray into the sunlight before diving deep once more. Sharing this vast domain with the caiman is a living legend of nature, the green anaconda. This is the world's heaviest snake, capable of reaching lengths of over 30 feet and weighing more than 440 pounds. The anaconda is primarily aquatic, where it moves with speed and stealth, its muscular body covered in olive green scales with black blotches. Evolution has produced a perfect design for a daylight hunter in hiding. Its eyes and nostrils are positioned on top of its head, allowing it to see and breathe while remaining almost completely submerged. It locks onto its target, slowly gliding forward, without creating a single suspicious ripple in the revealing sunlight. When it strikes, it does not bite to kill, but wraps its prey in its powerful coils, suffocating it before swallowing it whole. But the waters of the Amazon are not only home to solitary constrictors, they also nurture the most ferocious swarms. When it comes to the most notorious predators of the Amazon River ecosystem, the red-bellied piranha is a name that cannot be overlooked. The piranha's teeth are incredibly sharp and serrated, with a bite powerful enough to tear flesh from prey in seconds. In the warm afternoon water, red-bellied piranhas often hunt in schools of 20 to 30, using a strategy of coordinated attack. A red-blooded frenzy quickly envelops a trapped and unfortunate victim. The first bite of a piranha can cause the prey to lose up to 35% of its body weight in just a few minutes. Yet, in a world of constant, raw violence, nature always finds room for moments of quiet poetry. Along the tranquil banks of the Amazon, sandbars become gathering places for many species of turtles. On the warm sand, turtles rest quietly in the sun. But on their shells, another unique phenomenon occurs. Swarms of butterflies gather to drink the turtle's tears. Hundreds of vibrant wings flutter in the bright sunlight, drawn to the turtle's tears as a precious source of salt and minerals, elements rare in their diet. It is a magical symbiosis, a beautiful painting that soothes the suffocating tension of the wild kingdom. But such beauty is fragile and rarely lasts long. Not far away, the river continues to provide a rich food source for many animals, including the anhinga, a bird with a unique hunting strategy. With its long, slender body, the anhinga moves gracefully underwater, looking much like a swimming snake. Unlike many other birds, the anhinga's feathers are not waterproof, which allows it to dive to depths of 20 feet. Through the bright shafts of light in the river, it pursues its prey with absolute precision. When it spots its target, usually a fish or a small amphibian, the anhinga uses its long, flexible neck to launch a lightning-fast strike, spearing the prey with its sharp, needle-like bill. A single thrust pierces the glittering, golden water, stealing another life from this teeming ecosystem. On this majestic river, laid bare under the tropical sun, all things are caught in an endless cycle of life and death. None can escape that harsh destiny, because life in the Amazon is, ultimately, always paid for with another death. But the great power of the Amazon is not only defined by giants with sharp teeth and claws. Just beneath the damp leaf litter, drenched in the noonday sun, an equally wondrous and deadly microscopic world is quietly at work. Standing out against the brown earth are the brilliant colors of the poison dart frog, a stark warning to any enemy. They expose themselves in broad daylight, confident in the deadly weapon housed in their tiny bodies, batrachotoxin, a poison capable of paralyzing the nervous system and causing death. This deadly beauty is not self-made, but borrowed from its diet of the forest's own toxic ants and mites. Even smaller than the dart frog are the tireless armies marching in the sunbeams that pierce the leaves. Each colony of leafcutter ants can number in the millions, operating with a complex division of labor to carry leaves back to cultivate the fungus that feeds the entire colony. Meanwhile, hidden deep in the humus, the Goliath bird-eater spider launches lightning-fast attacks, using fangs nearly an inch long to inject venom and subdue its prey. And in the rare places the sun cannot reach, deep in subterranean caves, vampire bats maintain a complex society of blood sharing based on altruism and astonishing memory. But all the rules of survival in the Amazon must bow to the grand rhythm of the weather. From December to May, the rainy season arrives, causing river levels to rise by as much as 15 feet, transforming the landscape into a vast, flooded labyrinth. The rising water changes the entire dynamic of the hunt, forcing creatures to adapt or face annihilation. Giant otters, the largest otter species in the world, use the collective strength of their family groups to herd fish into shallow waters, increasing their survival rate to 70%. On land, herds of peccaries, sometimes hundreds strong, gather at essential mineral licks, establishing a formidable defense against the devastating ambushes of jaguars, which account for about 30% of their mortality. However, the millions of years of struggle for survival by the species of the Amazon now face a threat even more devastating than the laws of nature. It has taken humanity only a few decades to devastate the diversity that nature has so painstakingly crafted. According to the World Meteorological Organization, by 2023, the Amazon had lost over 20% of its original expanse in the last 50 years. The lush green patches of forest that once pulsed with life under the sun now give way to barren lands, scarred by deforestation and devastating fires. Without urgent action, it is estimated that by 2050, 40% of the Amazon could vanish forever, triggering the collapse of one of the planet's most vital ecosystems. Hundreds of species may be wiped out before we even have a chance to know and name them. The green lung of the Earth is slowly running out of breath due to the uncontrolled actions of humankind. But in the bleeding heart of the rainforest, a quiet battle to protect the future is being waged. Territories managed by indigenous communities have become a steadfast shield, helping to preserve over 135 million acres of sacred forest. New saplings are being planted, not only to regenerate the ecosystem, but also to bring the hope of a sustainable livelihood for local communities. Now more than ever, protecting the Amazon is not just about saving a great forest. It is an inseparable part of the struggle to ensure the future survival of our own species. Under the impartial sun that shines on all creatures, the right to exist no longer belongs only to the power of tooth and claw. It now lies entirely in the hands of human consciousness and choice. One and a half million wildebeest surge in an endless wave of migration from the Serengeti to the Masai Mara. 5 million antelope sweep across the vast grasslands between South Sudan and Ethiopia. Tens of thousands of plain zebra make a round trip of nearly 600 miles, a great pilgrimage across the Savannah. The migrations of the Savannah. From world-renowned odysseys to silent journeys, they keep the pulse of the African wild forever in motion. When the rainy season first touches the Savannah, the earth seems to awaken. African elephants leave the arid grasslands, seeking water before it is too late. Zebra travel hundreds of miles, with lions stalking them at narrow passes. Spotted hyenas follow silently, watching for the blue wildebeest that fall behind in the great search for life. Thompson's gazelles follow in the footsteps of the pioneers, but always with an unease at the lightning speed of the cheetah. They cross savannas, woodlands, and wetlands. Every step keeps the rhythm of Africa alive and unbroken. Migration, a search for life that repeats with the seasons or over the course of a lifetime. For many species, it is instinct. For others, it is a flexible choice, shaped by physical condition, climate, or ecological pressure. But whether obligatory or optional, they all leave their current home to find a better place for breeding, feeding, or escaping harsh conditions. This movement is often driven by changes in temperature, rainfall, or the scarcity of resources. When the dry season arrives and the rivers run dry, when the young grass and fruits are gone, the animals must keep moving to survive. The African savanna is the clearest expression of the power and fragility of these seasonal movements. Here, the vast grasslands seem to stretch endlessly, where the earth and sky carry the eternal rhythm of fire, rain, and rebirth. They follow the rains, searching for the promised lands of green. Seasonal migration is the annual cyclical movement of animals in response to changes in climate, food, and water. It occurs along a fixed route, repeated year after year, sometimes for thousands of kilometers. Ecologists call it seasonal migration because it is predictable. This behavior is driven by the contrast between the wet and dry seasons. When the rains are plentiful, vegetation flourishes, creating a fresh food source. When the rains subside and the grass withers, the animals retreat, returning to safer areas, sometimes the very places they left months before. Of all the seasonal migrations, perhaps the most famous is the Great Migration. In the Serengeti ecosystem, which spans over 12,000 square miles across Tanzania and Kenya, one of the largest and most spectacular migrations on Earth takes place. Millions of blue wildebeest move in a great arc, along with hundreds of thousands of Thomson's gazelles and zebras. Each year, this four-legged caravan travels about 500 miles in a closed loop, searching for water, fresh grass, and safe breeding grounds. On this journey, Grant's zebra is the silent pioneer, clearing the path. This is the smallest subspecies of the plains zebra, and also the most numerous in East Africa. Unlike the wildebeest, they do not instinctively follow the path of the rains. Their journey has a clearer purpose, and above all, it is strategic. Grant's zebras have a hindgut fermentation digestive system, allowing them to process the old, coarse grasses that wildebeest often avoid. As those layers of grass are trimmed by the zebra's sharp teeth, the soft, young shoots beneath are exposed, ready for the grazers that follow. There seems to be a perfect but unspoken coordination, as the two species make the most of the vegetation without direct competition. They have a strong memory of the landscape, of the great rivers, of which banks are less steep and where there is more grass than rock. The combination of natural instinct and spatial memory forms a living network of information within the herd. When crossing the Mara or Grumeti rivers, zebras are often the first to plunge into the water. They do not wait, nor do they hesitate for long. This behavior inadvertently becomes a signal for the other migrating species, keeping the migration from descending into chaos. The zebra's social structure also helps protect the entire herd from predators. When traveling with wildebeest, the two species create a flexible warning system. Grant's zebras detect threats with their keen eyesight and hearing, while wildebeest are more sensitive to smell and movement. Together, they significantly reduce the risk of being ambushed by lions, leopards, or spotted hyenas. But the Great Migration is far from easy. It is estimated that up to 250,000 individuals perish each year on this challenging journey due to thirst, hunger, exhaustion, or predation. For the blue wildebeest, the most numerous pilgrims, how do they maintain their numbers? They follow a very simple principle. There is strength in numbers when it comes to breeding. From January to March, on the southern plains of the Serengeti, about 500,000 calves are born in just a few short weeks. This synchronized birthing is an evolutionary strategy designed to overwhelm the predators. When so many young are born at once, the chances of survival for each individual increase. No matter how agile and cunning the predators are, they cannot possibly catch them all. Within minutes, its slender, trembling legs have lifted its small body upright, and within 15 minutes, it is able to run alongside its mother. If it does not quickly gain strength, even the largest herd cannot keep it safe. The predators waste no time in targeting the young. By April, the long rains drench the western Serengeti. Fresh grass grows in the western corridor while the southern plains begin to dry out. The wildebeest herds begin to move west, then gradually head north. By July, the migration reaches the Grumeti and Mara rivers, where the most arduous challenges await. These rivers are not only deep and fast-flowing, but are also home to Nile crocodiles up to 16 feet long, lying in wait beneath the surface. As the wildebeest herds pour into the water, chaos erupts. The sounds of bellowing, splashing water, and snapping jaws echo along the banks. Thousands are lost in just a few hours. But the survivors continue to press north towards the Masai Mara, where the grass is still green and recent rains have filled the waterholes. From September to October, the herds temporarily settle in the Masai Mara. But this respite is brief, and this land is not just green grass. As the sun sets, another sound rises. The laugh of the spotted hyena. Contrary to misconception, they are remarkably efficient predators, with up to 95% of their diet in many areas coming from active hunts. With fearsome stamina and organized pack tactics, they are a formidable force. But their ultimate weapon is their jaw, with a bite force of up to 1,000 pounds force, strong enough to crush even the thickest of bones. It is this ability to utilize everything, from their own kills to scavenging, that makes them the true ecological managers of the savannah. By November, the short rains return to the southern Serengeti. The land once again changes color. Fresh grass begins to sprout, and the wildebeest herds silently return. No command is given. No single individual leads the way. But somehow, the entire herd moves in consensus. Year after year, they return to the same familiar stopping points, following the old trails. However, not every individual migrates. Some small groups stay year-round, near reliable water sources. This shows that migration is not an absolute instinct. And when the feast of the grasslands has been prepared by the powerful jaws of Grant's zebra and the blue wildebeest, the Thompson's gazelle arrives. In the Serengeti Masai Mara ecosystem, the Thompson's gazelle, often called the Tommy, is the third most numerous in the migrating herbivore trio. What makes them special is not their numbers, but how they capitalize on the ecological order created by the species that went before them. As the zebras trim the tall, coarse grass, and the wildebeest handle the middle layer, that is when the real delicacies are revealed. The soft young shoots, the green buds, and the tender leaves right at ground level. That is when the Thomson's gazelle comes into play. Although part of the Great Migration, the Thomson's gazelle follows a much shorter and more flexible route than the others. They tend to stay in the southern Serengeti longer, especially after the rainy season ends. Thanks to their high drought tolerance and specific dietary needs, they do not need to travel far for food. However, the Tommy still depends on surface water, and this is the limiting factor for their range. As the streams gradually dry up, they adjust their route, but always within a manageable range. The stotting behavior, leaping high into the air on all four legs, is not just a sign of alertness, but also a warning signal to the herd. With a top speed of up to 43 miles per hour combined with zigzagging leaps to evade, they are not an easy target. But even that may not be enough to deter a cheetah. During the migration, the cheetah does not follow the flow of herbivores like other predators, but constantly changes its hunting range based on the presence of prey. The cheetah's hunting success rate with lions is about 58%, much higher than the average for other large cats like lions or leopards. Under the fiery sky of the Masai Mara, herds of Thomson's gazelles are scattered across the plains. In the golden grass, a cheetah presses itself low to the ground. Its lean, supple body glides like a gust of wind. The black tear lines running from its eyes to its mouth help reduce the sun's glare, and its gaze is locked onto a young gazelle that has strayed from its mother. It moves upwind, using the low mounds to close the distance to just 130 feet. Its spine, coiled like a steel spring, uncoils in an instant. Its semi-retractable claws dig into the earth, and its body launches to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. Its long tail whips like a rudder as the gazelle twists and turns. Within a few feet, the cheetah swings a foreleg into its prey's flank. The gazelle stumbles, then tumbles in a cloud of dust. The chase lasts less than a minute, but every second is a culmination of speed, precision, and evolutionary refinement. Unable to defend its prey against larger predators, the cheetah eats very quickly. It has only about 10 to 15 minutes to tear at the flesh before a spotted hyena or a lion discovers and steals its meal. It chooses to abandon its prey and retreat, not out of weakness, but as a survival strategy to conserve energy and live to hunt another day. The Great Migration is famous for its massive migrating herds and equally fierce predator-prey confrontations. It is the law of nature. The strong continue the journey and the weak are left behind. But Africa still holds other migrations, the raw gems of the wild. Among them is the Luangwa Plain Migration, the second largest wildebeest migration in Africa. Unlike the perilous journey of the Serengeti, Luangwa has a gentler feel, more like a collective pilgrimage to the promised grasslands. However, The goal remains the same: to find a safe place to breed and enough food to raise the next generation. Around October, when the first rains begin to soak the cracked earth, the grasslands of Liuwa awaken. From all directions, over 45,000 blue wildebeest, along with herds of plains, zebra, and smaller lechwe antelope, begin their journey south. The Liuwa migration may lack the grand spectacle of the Serengeti, but its very quietness lends it the feeling of a pilgrimage. Speaking of intelligence, spatial memory, and life experience, perhaps no animal can compare to the mighty African bush elephant. When the savannah begins to turn a withered yellow, when the last traces of water recede from the rock pools, the African elephants begin to move. In the savannah ecosystem, they are one of the few creatures that can redesign their survival route each year, not through genetic programming, but through memory, experience, and social transmission. Each herd is led by a matriarch, the oldest and most experienced female, often over 40 years old. She remembers every hidden waterhole, every thicket that will fruit after the first rains, and the exact time to set off. Her herd can travel 30 to 50 miles in a single night to reach water, even when there are no signs on the surface. The young elephants learn these routes by following the matriarch, like a practical survival course. In the Gourma region of Mali, elephants living between the savannah and the semi-desert Sahel have been recorded making a circular migration covering an area of up to 12,000 square miles. Their annual journey is about 300 to 370 miles long, one of the longest land migrations ever recorded for elephants. Here, water is scarce, vegetation is sparse, the climate is harsh, and temperatures can exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit. Survival is not a matter of random wandering. Along the way, their heavy footsteps clear a path through the bush, creating corridors for zebra, antelope, and hundreds of other species. When they encounter a dry riverbed, they use their trunks and feet to dig deep into the sand, tapping into the cool groundwater. These small wells quickly become gathering points for monkeys, birds, and even predators. To travel such distances, elephants must overcome both ecological and man-made challenges. According to a report by the African Wildlife Foundation, the Lower Zambezi is under severe pressure from deforestation and corridor fragmentation, pushing elephant populations into smaller spaces. The African elephant is not just seeking survival. They are keeping the lifeblood of the savannah flowing. If the African elephant chooses to cross hundreds of miles of cracked earth to connect distant water sources, the African buffalo writes a different story. Their journey consists of short, deliberate movements, each shaped by a survival strategy honed over thousands of wet and dry seasons. Not bound by a single route, the African buffalo lives in a variety of habitats, from open grasslands to acacia woodlands. When the dry season arrives, when the earth cracks and the grass is reduced to brittle stalks, they retreat to the wetter core areas. The strength of the herd comes not just from muscle, but from unity and collective intelligence. Instead of being led by a single dominant individual, the buffalo herd votes in a unique way. When it is time to move, the adult females begin to stand up and face the direction they think is best. The direction that receives the most consensus becomes the path for the entire herd. When on the move, smaller herds may merge into superherds of 1,000 to 2,000 individuals. Such a massive gathering is a natural defense strategy. The buffalo herd with thousands of eyes, thousands of curved horns, is an almost impenetrable wall. However, not all African buffalo herds migrate. In landscapes with year-round water and rapidly regenerating grass, a portion will stay put. Across the vast habitat network of the Kavango-Zambezi-Khaza Transfrontier Conservation Area, lions move as silently as ghosts, tracking every shift of their prey. When the rainy season disperses the African buffalo, a lion's home range can expand to over 270 square miles. However, in the dry season, their range can shrink to just 40 to 115 square miles, concentrating around waterholes and floodplains where prey gathers. The presence of prey determines up to 75.9% of the space lions used, followed by proximity to water sources. The midday sun beats down on the golden grasslands. The ground trembles under the heavy tread of the buffalo herd. From a distance, figures press themselves to the ground, weaving through the acacia bushes. They are the lionesses, the primary hunters of the pride. They do not attack head-on, but split into multiple directions, moving upwind. Two on the left flank deliberately reveal themselves, herding the buffalo closer to the ambush point. A surprise pounce shatters the silence. One lioness lunges forward, her jaws clamping onto the throat. Another clamps down on the muzzle to cut off the air supply. The buffalo gradually succumbs to the combined weight of multiple attackers. Behind them, a male lion stands guard. Its thick mane is not just an armor that partially protects its neck from the horns, but also a powerful symbol of health and dominance. Females often favor males with darker, denser manes, and it is also a warning signal to other challengers. Male lions rarely lead the hunt, but they are crucial for the pride's survival. They are a living deterrent, the protection in battle. They also possess a unique tool, the roar. Low and powerful, a lion's roar can carry for up to 5 miles, marking territory and maintaining contact. Lions do not strictly follow the migrations, but they always track the movement of their prey between habitats. If the African buffalo is divided into movers and stayers, then the common eland is the true master of the nomadic life. They are not bound by fixed routes or specific seasons, but let their steps follow the green trails of fresh grass and the glint of water. The common eland is the largest antelope. with a shoulder height of nearly 6 feet and a weight that can reach nearly a ton. However, it is also the slowest antelope, with a top speed of about 25 miles per hour. The eland does not defend a territory. When the rains come, they quickly move to areas where fresh grass has sprouted. But when the rains stop and the grass withers, they move on. Their path may lead to open woodland, granite hills, or thorny bushland. Like the common eland, the marabou stork never stays still. But while the eland chases the green of new grass, the marabou stork seeks the carcasses of the less fortunate. Not bound by any fixed migratory schedule, they move with the changing tides of food and water. The marabou stork has the look of an undertaker. Its dark, slate-grey plumage drapes over its shoulders like a faded cloak, a bald head, and a bare neck mottled with purple veins. When the water in the floodplains begins to recede, fish, frogs, and insects surface in the mud, creating an ideal feeding ground. But when the land becomes more arid, the marabou stork will fly hundreds of miles. Their destination could be newly formed inland lakes or places with mass die-offs after disease outbreaks. However, what makes the marabou stork a unique link in the ecological web is that it is not entirely tied to the wild. When the floodplains dry up, or the carcasses decompose too quickly in the heat, the marabou stork may switch to living beside city dumps. If the marabou stork evokes the image of a crude scavenger, then the lesser flamingo is its perfect opposite. Slender, brilliantly pink, and as graceful as a dancer on the water. Where the sun bakes the pale, mineral-rich lakes and a salt crust forms on the mud. The world's most numerous flamingo species undertakes its mysterious migrations. They pursue a single goal, the bloom of the cyanobacterium spirulina, the almost exclusive food source that sustains the entire flock. With an estimated population of 2.2 to 3.2 million adult individuals, the lesser flamingo is concentrated mainly in East Africa and Southern Africa. They choose soda lakes with extremely high alkalinity, often with a pH of 9.5 to 11.0. An environment almost uninhabitable for most animals, but a biological paradise for spirulina. When the spirulina levels in a lake begin to decline, the flamingo flock departs almost in unison for another, more promising lake. These journeys can last from a few dozen to hundreds of miles, often undertaken at night. From an altitude of hundreds of feet, they can see the turquoise and emerald patches standing out on the water. That is the signal of life. They remember the places that once brought abundance, the shallow lakes that changed color after a rainstorm or when the water receded. Not all migrations in Africa echo with the hooves of millions, or are followed by enormous clouds of dust. In many grasslands, semi-arid regions, or seasonal wetlands, There are natural movements so silent that a casual observer could easily miss them. Ecologists describe some of these as subtle, sometimes partial, or lacking complete synchrony, dispersal migrations. These movements are often limited to a range of just a few dozen miles. They occur in scattered patterns. The species involved often include the springbok, some populations of reedbuck, and many locally migrating grassland or water birds. This is the springbok. Its current population is estimated at around 2 to 2.5 million individuals. It follows a loosely defined regional migration, just enough to escape the dry heat and just enough to regain vitality in pockets of young grass. In an environment of constantly changing temperature and humidity, it does not migrate on a fixed schedule, but changes its location according to an irregular ecological rhythm. A single unseasonal rain is enough to change its direction. History records the phenomenon known as trekbokken, mass movements of springbok in the 19th century. Hundreds of thousands would sweep across the arid land after the rains, but that spectacle has almost vanished. Fences, agricultural expansion, and modern infrastructure have fractured the ancient habitat corridors. The large herds have broken up into smaller populations, and the medium-scale migrations of today have become short-range shifts. Waiting for them there is the African leopard. Without the collective strength of the lion or the incredible speed of the cheetah, the leopard holds a unique position in the wild. It is built on the skills of a solitary hunter and an almost unparalleled ability to adapt to any change in its surroundings. Whether in the dense forests of Central Africa, the grasslands of the Serengeti, or even on the outskirts of expanding cities, this species is recorded. This diversity of habitat also means a much more flexible lifestyle. When food becomes scarce, they can switch from hunting antelope to catching porcupines. Their non-selective diet allows them to seize every opportunity, from small antelopes and monkeys to birds and rodents. Combined with their extraordinary ability to camouflage, they can approach almost invisibly until the moment of their lightning-fast attack. Scientific records show they can drag prey more than twice their body weight up a tree over 16 feet high. Each branch becomes a larder, keeping their prize safe from opportunistic thieves like spotted hyenas or lions. Their behavior is not just instinct, but a survival strategy refined over millions of years of evolution. This time, the target is a reedbuck. Unlike the springbok hunt, there is nothing standing between the leopard and its prey. The seasoned predator simply waits in silence. Creeping forward without a sound, it circles a bush. When the distance closes to about 6 feet, it lunges, a single bite to the neck. Classified as a medium to large antelope, the reedbuck weighs from 100 to 143 pounds, with a sturdy yet slender build. It is typically found in moist savannas, riverine grasslands, marsh edges, or seasonal floodplains. Unlike the springbok, the reedbuck lives at a gentler pace, closely tied to its home range. It does not undertake transcontinental migrations, but instead makes short-term or seasonal movements, usually along riverine grasslands. However, whether the migration is seasonal, interbiome, or silent in the tall grass, they all depend on one crucial factor: connected space. This is why migratory corridors are the ecological lifeblood of the entire continent. Migratory corridors are not just routes that animals travel seasonally. They are ecological spaces that connect fragmented habitats. They help maintain genetic integrity, ecological balance, and population stability, and, most importantly, increase resilience to climate change. When a corridor is cut by roads, fences, agriculture, or urban development, the impact is not just the blockage of a few individuals. It means population fragmentation, loss of genetic diversity, lower reproductive rates, and in many cases, local decline. The Kavango-Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area, CAZA, which spans the intersection of Angola, Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, and Zimbabwe, is the largest transboundary wildlife corridor in Africa.
Beneath a seemingly endless horizon, a secret world operates on its own ancient terms. This is more than a landscape. It is an arena, vast and primal, governed by rules written long before the dawn of humanity. Here, peace is a fragile luxury. Survival is the only currency, and there is no margin for error. Apex predators watch in silence, their patience measured in the whispers of the wind. Conversely, the great herds are in constant motion, a relentless pilgrimage in search of life. Welcome, then, to the greatest theater on earth, where the script is written not in ink, but in blood and instinct. Millions of years ago, Africa underwent a profound transformation. The lush forests receded as the climate grew more arid, more unforgiving. This dramatic shift compelled an entire ecosystem to evolve. Green gave way to gold, forging the vast savanna we know today. Many species, unable to adapt, vanished into extinction. But the survivors mastered the open spaces, where speed, power, and cooperation became the keys to existence. Migration we witness still. As millions of herbivores trek across these plains for pasture and water. The evolution of its apex predators is another remarkable chapter in this story, shaping the land's delicate equilibrium. The lion, king of the savannah, is one of its most formidable predators. Unlike many other great cats, they are social creatures, living in prides. This unique social structure makes them exceptionally effective hunters, working in concert to bring down large prey like wildebeest and buffalo. The lionesses are more than hunters. They are masters of military tactics. A flawless ambush, a breathtaking display of precision and discipline. While thousands of wildebeest trust in the safety of numbers, the queens of the grassland have already locked onto their target. Here, death does not arrive by chance. It arrives by design. The male lion, meanwhile, leads a life of constant vigilance. His incredible strength is dedicated to a single purpose: to shield the pride from rivals, securing the territory and its young. And his most potent tool in this defense is his roar. A male lion's roar can be heard up to 5 miles away. In the Serengeti, lions take thousands of wildebeest and zebra each year, playing a vital role in regulating herbivore populations and maintaining the health of the ecosystem. Often misunderstood as mere scavengers, the spotted hyena is, in fact, a formidable predator of remarkable intelligence and social complexity. Hyena society is ruled by females, a complex and rare matriarchy in the mammalian world. The lead female is not only larger and more powerful than the males, but she also passes her social rank down to her. Their characteristic laugh is no expression of joy. It is a complex vocalization conveying submission, excitement, or stress during a conflict. If lions are royalty, then spotted hyenas are the shrewd masters of the underworld. Forget the caricatures you may have seen. These are hunters whose success rate can exceed that of lions. Hunting as a clan, hyenas use coordinated strategies to isolate weaker individuals. They possess one of the most powerful bites of any terrestrial mammal, allowing them to crush bone and consume nearly every part of their prey. They can pursue their quarry over great distances, running it to exhaustion. They teach a ruthless lesson. In the game of survival, intelligence and unity can be more fearsome than sheer muscle. And by cleaning the plains of carrion left by other predators, they help prevent the spread of disease, keeping the ecosystem healthy. If the lion is king and the hyena a master strategist, then the cheetah is the savannah's spirit of speed. Unlike lions, cheetahs are solitary hunters. The fastest land animal on the planet, the cheetah is engineered for acceleration, capable of reaching speeds of over 70 miles per hour. They rely on exceptional eyesight to spot prey from afar before launching a high-speed chase. This vision is aided by a unique adaptation, the long, black lines that run from the corners of their eyes to their mouths, often called tear marks. Its ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just a few seconds is a marvel of biological engineering. These are not for decoration. They function like natural sunglasses, reducing the sun's glare and allowing the cheetah to focus on its prize in the harshest midday light. But nature is a great leveler. The cheetah can only maintain this explosive pace for a short time before its body overheats. This makes them vulnerable, their kills often stolen by larger predators like lions and hyenas. Every hunt is therefore a calculated risk. The cheetah is a poignant reminder that to be the best at one thing can be a critical weakness against those who are masters of all trades. With only around 7,000 individuals left in the wild, the cheetah is classified as vulnerable, threatened primarily by habitat loss and conflict with humans. The Great Migration is one of the world's most spectacular natural events. An endless cycle of movement covering nearly 600 miles through the Serengeti in Tanzania and into the Masai Mara in Kenya. Each year, some 1.5 million wildebeest, accompanied by hundreds of thousands of zebra, begin this great pilgrimage in search of fresh grazing and water. This alliance between wildebeest and zebra is no accident. They are perfect partners. The wildebeest possess a keen sense of smell, enabling them to detect distant rains and the promise of new grass. The zebra, in turn, have a remarkable memory for migration routes and safe watering holes. They rely on one another, their skills complementing each other, turning this perilous journey into a testament to the power of cooperation. This migration, driven by the rhythm of the wet and dry seasons, is the ultimate expression of nature's great cycles, an eternal dance between life and death. And yet they must go on. To stand still is to perish. As they cross the vast plains, they face innumerable dangers. Rivers, like the Mara, become lethal obstacles teeming with waiting crocodiles. The sacrifice of the many on this journey becomes the sustenance for the apex predators, fueling the food chain and preserving the savannah's fragile balance. As they move in their multitudes, they trim the overgrown grasses, making way for new shoots to emerge and creating a fresh, nutritious landscape for all. On the savannah, these grazers are more than just prey. They are the gardeners of this great landscape. Their grazing and the fertilization of the soil that follows ensure the grasslands remain healthy and diverse, supporting even the smallest herbivores. Yet this magnificent landscape and its inhabitants now face grave threats, placing their very existence in jeopardy. Climate change and human activities are the principal drivers behind the decline of many of these iconic species. As temperatures rise and rainfall becomes more erratic, survival for many has become a daily struggle. Deforestation is stripping away their natural habitat, while poaching, driven by the illegal demand for ivory and rhino horn, has devastated their populations. Each year, an estimated 20,000 elephants are killed for their tusks. This tragedy is not only a profound loss in itself, but a threat to the entire ecological balance. Conservation is no longer a choice, it is an imperative for the survival of both the wildlife and the wild heart of the African savannah. Protecting these apex predators is not just about preserving a magnificent spectacle. It is about maintaining the biological processes that keep the entire ecosystem in balance. By supporting conservation efforts and adopting sustainable practices, we can help ensure that future generations will also be able to witness this extraordinary realm.